Hey, it's Lex and Lynn, hosts of Mood, the podcast that's your go-to for humour, wisdom and a touch of NSFW. Mood. We're relatable as fuck.
Episode 5?
Yeah, 5.
Yeah, you'll be pleased to know, guys, I had yet another technical issue joining, but you will never know because Lynette always does her amazing job and edits all these things out, so you don't see us constantly running backwards and forwards and me messaging, panicking, trying to get stuff done. So that's one less thing for you guys to worry about, but I'm always stressed when we come on these calls just because of technical difficulties.
You make it in the end.
Always in the end. I'm not going to let you guys down. I actually have a would you rather for you today because I forgot last time. So would you always prefer to be either overly dressed all the time or underdressed all the time? Now I mean as in not as in like formal, not formal enough. I mean as in either too many layers of clothing constantly, so you're always hot, or you're way too revealed at every opportunity.
Oh God. I think underly cold. I'd rather be colder. I like the fresh.
What if it was like kind of skimpy though? What if it was like feels like things where you always felt like you were constantly uncovered?
That's a different question. Then in that case, I don't think I'd be comfortable. I'd be pulling it down. It's like the other day I was wearing a short skirt and I was like walking down the tube and I just felt like every 5 minutes I was doing this. So I think to that point then, overly dressed.
Right. Overly dressed. I was going to say overly dressed.
Yeah.
When I read the question, it just gave me Kanye West's new wife, the vibes of like, have you seen some of the stuff that I would say wear, but she's not actually wearing hardly anything.
No.
She's gone out in like literally she's gone out in like a rain poncho, nothing underneath. She went to shop to do shopping with her and Kanye and just had like the most skimpiest of bikinis and like a weird skirt. She's just constantly underdressed. And you know what? If I had that figure, I probably would be too. But I mean, it's on the next level where it's like, where are you going?
Like,
who are you going out to see dressed like that?
Yeah, I don't think I'd like that.
Literally threads.
No.
It's like borderline inappropriate.
What would you do?
I think I would have to be overdressed all the time. I would rather be covered up and not worry about like having to pull skirts down, tops up and all that stuff. Bad enough as it is, I fiddle with my clothing a lot anyway, so I think I'd have to do that. Yeah. So I don't think that's the one. Go on, do you have any?
Yes. It's very apt. For those of you that don't know, Lex is an amazing singer. I think we probably mentioned it in one of the first episodes. So my question this week is, what is your karaoke song, your go-to?
Oh, sheesh. Do you know what? I got asked this at work the other day and I had such a mind blank. And then I was like, I should know this. I tend to go for a lot of the old school ones first because I think everybody knows them and I'd rather sing something that everyone knows first. So I would say like a Whitney Houston, Saving All My Love for You. I've done like a Sam Brown, Stop. I used to do Beyonce. It was Work It Out, which was the one she did for Austin Powers films.
Okay.
So they're like my usual free go-tos just to like warm the crowd up. And then,
and then
I'll probably add it up. I'll just show off and add as many songs as I possibly can before the karaoke people tell me to stop.
Do a bit of Mariah and go, who invited her?
Yeah. If you had to do karaoke, because I know you like a bit of karaoke as well, like what's your go-to?
Love karaoke. So I'm old school, like really old school. So I like I do like Stand By Me is my always
nice.
Like, that one, or like the Stevie Wonder I just can't.
I love that
because I'll just get shamed. But yeah, that would be my go-tos.
Okay, well, you know, we're now gonna have to go karaoke together properly and actually
for sure.
hear you belt them out, because last time when we went you only heard me sing, I didn't get to hear you sing. So,
but I'm going first. You can close the show. I'm not following you.
So good to know. I'll bear that in mind for when we're next doing a karaoke together. So what are we in the mood to talk about today?
Well, I think we are going to talk about motivation, but the other side, so being unmotivated. Now, is it unmotivated? I had to look this up. Is it unmotivated or demotivated?
Oh, that's a good point. I didn't think of that. I guess it's demotivated, but we just put unmotivated because you know we're illiterate. Yeah.
So they know what we mean. You guys
knew what we meant. No, we're not here for grammar and spelling. We're just here to have fun.
Yeah.
So do you know what, this comes in quite nicely, I think, because I've been having a shit week with just things in general, and then when you have something going on with your life that's kind of holding you back slightly, just whether it's your work or relationship stuff or just stress and things like that, then it starts having a knock-on effect with everything else, right? And then you start getting that demotivated feeling. So I think this is a perfect time to vent on things like that and how we deal with them, and like what's the best way of not having those issues. And then hopefully next time when we speak with you guys, we're planning to do actually some motivational stuff, especially more around like fitness and like career and your life. We have a guest for that as well, which we're really excited about, which we'll announce further down the line. But yeah, this is kind of like a two-parter almost. But yeah, obviously we're talking about being demotivated today. Lynette, how do you deal with, supposed to get you out of the demotivation stuff, or like what things demotivate you as a person?
The funk, right? I call it the funk. Yesterday, for example, it's like it will take something small, the start of my day, which will somehow just have a knock-on effect on how the rest of the day goes. It really does set the mood. So like, for example, the commute to work, the fact it was raining yesterday, the fact I missed my train, and all of this sort of stuff. And I think just like a snowball effect, and you're just kind of in this mindset. If you start your day like that, I'm kind of in the mindset that, well, the rest of the days are gone then, basically, isn't it? So
sure.
So things like that demotivate me. We'll probably talk about like more motivation stuff sort of in another episode. But what I've tried to do is, get up when you wake up in the morning and you open your eyes and get up. Like, don't hit snooze, don't just kind of lie there and go, I'm just gonna try and wake myself up. The best advice I've heard is to just get yourself up and get going and get ready. And that's what I've been trying to do as well, like the last couple of weeks, where you kind of find yourself in a funk and you just kind of need a little bit of a boost. And I feel like when you start the day bright, I know it sounds really corny and really cheesy, but I think that's a good indicator of kind of how to get motivated for the day.
That's so true. That's true. And it's so difficult, like you said, I was the same as you yesterday. Started off just it was shit from like the get-go. Like I got up, I was like tired anyway. I did exactly what you said not to do, snoozed my phone. I mean, I'm terrible. I snoozed my alarm multiple times, and then definitely checked some social media, got myself all ready, got halfway to work, and then realised I forgot my tag to get into work. Had to go and get sort of the security stuff to be able to get in. Pissing down rain. I was like, even an umbrella was wet, soaked through, whatever. And then my day was just manic anyways. And then it just started snowballing. It was just getting worse and worse in the day. As you and I know, I had a bit of a breakdown at work yesterday. And then proceeded to go to rehearsals because I'm doing directing for a show at the moment with one of my other friends that's doing it as well. And I think everyone was feeling like that yesterday because we rocked in and everyone was in a bad mood. And then it just had that knock-on effect. Like you pick up on people's feelings as well. And if they're in a shit mood, it kind of sets the mood for you as well. It shouldn't be the case, but that does happen. So it's hard.
And I don't mean this in a bad way at all, but I think seeing you upset yesterday kind of got me like, no, that's shit.
Oh no,
that's shit. Like I don't want Lex to be upset. But it's exactly what you say. It's it's that, like you say, people around you, they kind of pick up the vibes and things like that. And it was just, I mean, I was that time of the month as well, just obviously just adds to that drama even more. So it's just everything feels way more escalated than it needs to be. Don't you ever get that though? Like, and girls, you'll know what we mean when you're the shittest week, rage, and you can feel it bubbling, and you can't explain why, and then you come on like 2 weeks later and you be like, oh yeah, that's why. That's why. I'm not a fucking bitch.
I keep saying to Ricky, like every time I act up or be an arsehole, I'm like, it's because I'm on my period. I'm like, it's just because I'm on my period. And he's like, stop using that as an excuse. And I'm like, no, legit though. It is that, and because I'm a bitch. But like, it's amplified. I just use that as an excuse. Absolutely amplified. And you know what as well, like I mean, I know most people do it, like when people got their periods and stuff, you can't help but it's like, well, if I'm on a period, I'm already in a bad mood. If I'm in a bad mood, I might as well eat something to make myself feel better. I'm not going to do anything. I don't want to think about anything, do anything.
I just want to sit here and literally just grumpy and eat shit. And but just for the next 5 to 10 days or whatever, just leave me the fuck alone. And I'll be back to normal.
Literally. But do you know what, it's true that, and you're right about the whole it's like it's having a routine actually helps with that whole thing about being demotivated. And look, we're all guilty of it. There's some days when we're our best, and there's some days you're like, you know what, fuck everything off, that's just not going to happen. And I mean, I've come to realize over time, like loads, like, so for those who don't know, like I have an account called Chubsies, and it was mainly just to hold myself accountable for like fitness and health, like mental health, all that shit. And it's just started off like a little thing for me, and it's actually like it's become quite a bigger thing, and I'm enjoying it. But a lot of the stuff that I realized through going to the gym and speaking with loads of other people and just being inspired by people I see online, that it's not just like a motivational thing, it's really more around a discipline, and having a discipline around the way you think, the way you act, the way you feel, what you put in your mouth, like all those things like really do help with actually that motivation. So when people say to me, oh, like how do you get motivated to go to the gym, I'm like, it's not motivation. There are days I don't want to go, and like sometimes I will listen to myself and say, right, you need that rest day. And then there's sometimes where I'm like, no, I'm going, or I will negotiate with myself and say, right, if we're not doing this today, then we're at least doing this. So it's definitely a discipline, and it's not easy, but it's just one of those things that definitely helps with the motivation. And I use quote marks for that because it is motivation, but it is really that discipline to almost stay motivated, I suppose.
And I feel like everything, it does stem back to mindset. A lot of it, the funk, the kind of early midlife crisis, all of this sort of stuff. And when when you're struggling, I think a lot of it does come down to kind of the way that you see things. And just it's changing that perception, isn't it, of like you say, sort of, it's easy to kind of, and I say kind of get up in the morning and I know what I need to do, but do I do it? Probably not. But it's
it is all in the mind. And unfortunately, it's really hard. I think we're sort of like, we're in our late 30s, right? And I think there's a thing where because you're a certain age that you should, that's it. Like, well, I'm too old to start making changes. I'm too old to start changing habits and that. And well, I've got this, and this. And it's like, yes, but no. It's like, yes, we're older. Yes, it's harder, but that doesn't mean you can't achieve what you want to achieve in order to create a better, healthier version of yourself. And it is, and no one's saying make drastic changes, but it's like, start off small and work your way up to like where you need to get to. I get loads of people say, oh, I know what to do, like I know what the problem is, and I know what I need to stop eating this, and I need to burn. I'm like, cool, if you know what's stopping you, because really it's you stopping you. And I only say this because been in that situation, we all make excuses, like we all say, and I'm not going to use that, we've all got to say in 24 hours because that's crap, like they're like it's crap, because our lives are, I feel like especially after COVID, our lives are getting more and more busier again, and we're almost back to how we were before. And it feels, I think because there was so much lost time, we're trying to do even more than we were doing now, and that means work is more stressful, life is more stressful, there's more plans. It's hard, it's really hard. So I think there is definitely changes we can make, but I think there is that thing about age, and there's that thing about you need to act and be and think and be a particular way. And I just think everything you see online as well, it really is about do things that make you feel better about you. And it, like you said, it's a mindset. It's not just about you could set up a gym routine tomorrow, right, for just conversation's sake, and you could set up a whole food plan, and you could be given all the best nutritional advice and like lifestyle advice, but if your mind is not in it, forget that's all wasted. It's not worth it.
So that was the other thing, because you mentioned like going online and stuff like that, and another thing I thought was like a big factor of becoming demotivated, and it's a conversation I actually had with someone at the weekend, was around the content that we do consume online and on Instagram and stuff like that, and the unrealistic lifestyles, or are they unrealistic, or are they achievable, or this is the thing, like it is the way you kind of consider it, right? But like, because you consume it so quickly, it's like, oh my god, that could never be me type thing, and then you just kind of like, well, I'm just shit, and I'm just a failure, and I'm just gonna kind of how can I ever achieve something like that? I wouldn't even know, I wouldn't even have a clue. And then it just kind of snowballs into another funk.
Some of the things you see online are, I love following, I'll follow like gym accounts, I'll follow like fitness things, and like, the food ones, I'm always like, yeah, I'll save that, and I will definitely do that. And my saved post, that in the saved folder, they go there to die, because I forget about them, I will never see them again. And about 4 months later, I'm like, oh, fuck yeah, I was supposed to do that, and I never did it. But I think the problem is there's so much good information out there, but it becomes really confusing, and it becomes a point where, and obviously there's shit information as well. Like even me, who's been trying to do gym for the last 2 years and make life changes, I still get confused almost around what's the things you should eat, what shouldn't you eat, what's, you know, like workouts you should do, what you shouldn't do, what your lifestyle should be. And also some of it's so unrealistic. Like, you know, if you are lucky enough to be an influencer, for example, and your job is being an influencer, you have time and money to be able to do most of those things, right?
Yeah.
Whereas like if you're someone who's working and it's tiring and, you know, you've got family and that, then, and realistically, how much, like, you know, being healthy is not cheap as well. Like,
Yes.
so expensive. Like if you're thinking about things like, all right, you can get cheaper gym accounts and stuff these days, but if you think about gym account, your food, like
Yeah.
even like clothing and stuff as well, like gym gear and like equipment, things like that, vitamins, supplements, it's just so costly if you're really into it. Like it's really costly. But then I suppose if you really want to do it, then you make sacrifices in other places, I suppose, right?
Yeah.
I mean, who needs electric and gas? I don't know. Just like,
Exactly. Yeah, it's fine.
It's fine. We don't need that food. But it is, I mean, I've noticed that since being healthier, I'm like, shit, like we piss through stuff. Like we did like a Costco shop, for example, and, you know, Costco is really expensive. And was like, okay, well, we've got like a ton of stuff. It's gone within like a week and a half.
Well, this is it.
So,
yeah, exactly.
Now I've got to go again. And also the other thing as well is hard about the demotivational thing is, I suppose, is also other people's opinions, which should never matter. But when you have family and friends that maybe think that you are not looking after yourself or whatever, and, you know, and can see changes in you, like, how do you deal with that? Does that like motivate you to make changes, or does it actually push you completely the opposite?
No, it's a funny one, isn't it? Because that, like when you say that, I kind of think about like my mum and how she's so old school in her ways and her opinions and stuff like that. And, you know, if for whatever reason I was losing weight or whatever, or she'd noticed that I'd lost a lot of weight, it would be like, why are you losing weight? What's wrong? What's the problem? What's the issue? Are you depressed? Are you this? Are you that? And in the same token, it's like if I put on weight, she goes, oh my God, why are you putting on weight? You shouldn't eat this. You shouldn't eat that. So it's like, it's a really difficult one. But the family and friends one I had down as well, about their opinions do matter, but like I don't find them motivating. I don't know why.
I think it's hard because like when I was younger, like I mean, like I'm Greek, food is always a big thing, and like you were definitely picked up on if you were eating too much and stuff. Like family would shame you right there and then, like, that's enough, like you don't need any more kind of thing. And I think that's never been helpful. But then I think it then goes to the extreme opposite, whereas like over the years I've always struggled with my weight, and I've been way bigger and I've been smaller, etc., and it's always been a battle. But I sometimes look back and think, actually, as long as I was happy in myself, but I knew I wasn't at the time, maybe if my family had sat me down and said, you know, we're worried about your health, I know it was conversations they had between them, because I remember it being picked up at one point when I was really, really bad, and it was kind of slightly mentioned to me in conversation, but they never actually said to me, we're worried about your health, and like, are you okay, like blah blah. So I think it was one of those things, like it's like you don't want to know, but you do kind of want to know, because like everyone else saw me struggling and I wasn't aware almost. It's a very touchy subject, because, you know, what is okay to say and what's not okay to say. Even when COVID hit, obviously a lot of us were just going through shit, and like just were not looking after ourselves properly, and I was aware of it, which was one of the reasons why I kind of started like, okay, I need to really look after myself better. One of the things that I noticed where I was like, I'm really not okay, and I remember saying to Ricky, do you think how did I word it? It was kind of like, do you think I've let myself go? I think it was like worded like that. And he was like, I wouldn't say let yourself go. I think you've stopped looking after yourself. Like, I think you've stopped taking care of yourself, which was sort of like a nicer way of wording it, of like, yeah, if that bitch. But like, you need to, no, like, it was just kind of like a yes, but
But is this a trick question?
And it was like, are you going to beat me up if I say yes? You let yourself go. I think there's no easy way, and I think the thing is as well that you could have people tell you, but if you are not willing to do anything about it, or you're not willing to make changes, then it's point. If you're happy, fuck what anyone says to you in that respect, and if you're happy and healthy and whatever, that's cool. But if it's a thing of like people saying it to you, but you're not looking to make that change either because you don't know how to or whatever, then it's just such a touchy subject, isn't it?
Agree.
So you guys that are listening, I had a dilemma for a friend of a friend of a friend that I was like, this might be a good one for us to talk about in a what would you do situation. Let's just say Mary and Danny for conversation's sake, just to make things easier. So Danny had approached his friend and said, I really want to talk to Mary because I've been with her like X amount of time, and I really care about her and I love her, blah, blah, but she's put on a lot of weight, and I've tried to approach the subject, and she's very snappy about it. I care for her, but like I see that she's not looking after herself like she used to. And it was a case of she also had friends that were maybe, what's the word of saying, maybe enabling, like they were eating on being a particular way, so they thought it was like they were almost like encouraging her to do it as well. So myself and like some girls that I'm doing a fitness program with were sort of approached with that question: is what would you do like if you were the person giving advice? Like what should I do? What should I tell Danny? And I was like, it's a very hard question, because is she happy in herself? Because if she is, then there is nothing that you have a right to say to her. Like you can't really say anything to her if she's happy, and you just kind of have to let her, do what she feels is right for herself. And then also, if you're feeling a particular way about maybe her appearance and things like that, then maybe you need to ask yourself, like, what is it you want from that relationship? Like, would you love her no matter what? We change as we go through time. Think, like we put on weight, we lose weight, something might happen, etc. Like the idea is that you love someone throughout those things, like unless there is, I don't know, unless it's like a massive extreme, like it's really hard to tell. But like, I don't know, what's your thoughts on it?
I agree with what you've said. So you've got to kind of check that Mary, like you say, is Mary happy in herself, like at the end of the day, because that's the only thing that matters. And this whole thing about whether, what was it, she's let herself go, or she's,
apparently,
why should
that's
that,
the wording.
exactly, but in like what respect has she done that? But if it's having an impact on Danny, is that his name? On
Sure,
Danny,
it is now. Yeah, no, it is Danny.
if it's having an impact on him, then and it's obviously really worrying him or bothering him, then they just kind of need to sit down and have that conversation, and he needs to be honest and say, listen, this is what I think at the minute, and it's affecting me because of X, Y, and Z, or because I don't think you're happy. So I think the key is find out whether Mary's happy in herself and what impact it's having on this guy, right?
And no shame on Danny either. I get, I understand when someone is concerned about their partner and like, they're not the person that I first met and they've changed, and obviously, yes, it's a personality thing, but I understand where appearance kind of kicks in, and you're attracted to what you're attracted to as well. Like, it's so hard, because I remember like back in the day, you'd be, guys be like, oh, I want a girl that's like blonde, skinny, whatever, and you'd be like, oh, but what about me, because I'm dark and big? And you're like, but that's their preference. Like, you can't kind of have a go at that. That's what they're attracted to. Me, it's blue eyes, beards, and tattoos. That's what I'm attracted to.
Exactly.
Like, you can't help what gets you going. Like, what can I say? It's really difficult.
But if like you say, it's really difficult to tell, like in this story, but like on the face of it, if that's the case, then Danny's a prick. If he's got core love, you've really let yourself go. I think, no, fuck this, I'm out. I'll be back when you've lost 2 stone.
It's hard, because I think if someone was to come up to me and say, oh, fuck, you really let yourself go, like just conversations, that would demotivate me. That's not going to make, I better make changes then. I'll be like, fuck you. Exactly. I'm going to go and eat like my body weight in chocolate. Like,
exactly.
I'll show you who's let himself go.
Or like when on the I think we mentioned it in another episode about when people come up to you and like assume you're pregnant and stuff, and it's like, oh great, so I'm just gonna go home and just continue eating since people think that I'm pregnant anyway.
I had oh god, this is where I suppose rather than being demotivated, I think maybe just come up with embarrassing stories where people try and put you in a really shit position. And so Rick and I were on a friend's weekend away, and I won't say their name. She basically was drunk and said to Ricky, if Lexi put on a stone, like another stone, would you still be attracted to her? Right? And it made me laugh the most. I was like, only a stone. So basically what you're saying is I'm the worst I could possibly be at. But like that one stone would be like that's it, like just cross the line kind of thing.
Push Rick over the edge.
Basically like that's the tipping point that Ricky would then stop being attracted to me. She was drunk, obviously, I'm gonna just give her that excuse. And Ricky was like, he was like, I would love her regardless. That's funny, because COVID kicked in and I put on like about 2 or 3 stone, and I was like, jokes on her, because we're still together, so it's like, it's fine. So but like Rick has seen me at my best and my worst, and is still, obviously, like he definitely saw when I was struggling and thought I was not looking after myself, and it wasn't just about the weight thing, it was just about in general. He saw that I was negatively thinking. He saw I wasn't happy. I was like saying nasty things about myself. Like I just was not being kind to me. So he saw that instead. So I don't think it's sometimes somebody's appearance. I think it's more around what mentally as well, what kind of person they become within that.
Exactly.
And I think that's what makes it a lot harder. But like, what about you? Like, what's your experience on things about around like fitness, health, like, you know, all those like
Mate,
body image? Like, what about you?
so many I've tried so many things, and as you know, I think ever since I was probably maybe 17, 18, I've been like not happy with my weight, and that's a long time. That's 20 years that I can't remember. But yeah, actually, probably the last time I was probably happy with how I looked at my weight is probably when I was 16 years old. And so, you know, I've tried different
Oh wow,
things
really?
like going to the gym. I felt like kind of the gym and solo workouts weren't for me. I don't know why. I felt like I needed that push, like you mentioned, you know, someone, you know, who's going to push you to do that. And so, I've had gym memberships and I've done the gym and tried it, and then that kind of falls off, and you do it for like 2 weeks, and you're like, oh no, you find an excuse why, like you don't want to go, or you know, you're tired or you're ill or something, and
Sure.
then it just kind of falls off. And then so I tried classes. If I'm doing the same thing with lots of people who are all in it and all want to kind of achieve something together, then I thought that might be better. So I did find like a drum and bass like boxing class called Fight Club. Shout out Troy.
Cool.
Yeah, it was good, and I did it for a while and I loved it, and you know, I do it once a week, and but then there's this, then you kind of just get these negative thoughts in your head going, well, I can't, you know, I can't see it, why isn't it working? Like you get back after you've sweated it all out, and you feel like, oh, I can't, and you know, you look at yourself a week later and like, well, it's not working. But obviously that's not what's going to happen, is it? Like, let's be real here, like it's going to take a lot more than a couple of sessions to see a difference. And then I kind of get in my own head and think, oh, what a waste of time, and you know, oh, what am I doing this all for, and all of this sort of stuff. And again, you kind of fell off that wagon. And so like that's what I've kind of battled with the last, you know, 10-20 years, with my weight and the gym, and trying to get back into it. And as you know, like a couple of months ago when I sent you a text and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm gonna be motivated, I'm gonna do a spin class, I'm gonna do spin. And I sent you that message going, you've motivated me to want to get back into to try and get fit. And then I did that for, you know, I was doing a couple of sessions a week, and again something came, I don't know if it was Christmas or whatever, or just plans that then got in the way, and then I just made excuses again. And I've tried like starting diets and like, okay, I'll buy something healthy this week, and I'm going to make myself breakfast every day, and then I just end up having a custard cream anyway for breakfast, and you know what I mean, custard cream and a coffee, and then that's that. And you know, the yogurt goes, the natural yogurt goes stale in the fridge, and like, oh damn it. And then you try again, chuck that one away, go back to the shop, and you start, you know, all right, I'm going to try again, and I'm going to buy some smoked salmon, and I'm going to put some cottage cheese in there, and I'm going to have a really healthy breakfast. And again, it doesn't happen. The intention is always there, but it's fighting through that barrier, through that mental barrier. And they say, don't they, that there's a certain, what is it 21 days or something, that you do something to kind of form a habit, but then it's much quicker to then break it. I don't even think I've made it to 21 days, if I'm going to be yeah, got to get to that point first. But yeah, that's my kind of whole very brief journey with my kind of fitness and gym and stuff like that. So I like a fad as well.
Yeah, that, do you know what, it's so many things. It's like you hit the nail on the head. It's like that, it's all or nothing almost mentality, right? So it's like, I think that's the problem. I think people, and I've done it as well, like you go in, we try to do everything at once, and it just it just becomes unrealistic. So it's like, right, I'm going to get my 7 to 10k steps in, I'm going to have my food sorted, I'm going to go to the gym 3 times a week. And you're like, okay, one, you didn't even do any of those things, you don't even do one of those things, so like normally, so how are you going to do all 3 in one go? It's just it's not realistic. It's just and like start off from going nothing to everything. It's just not realistic. And the one thing I've realized over the years is, one is about enjoy, like you made a good point about the gym, right? And I say gym because I like going gym. I hated going gym before, but I love getting into, and I think for girls as well, there's this whole thing about if you go gym, it's just cardio and that's it. And I think women now are starting to realize that strength does so much more work for you than just cardio side of things. So I got into a thing of like, I'm going to start going to the gym and just start having a routine. I'm just going to go and do some things. I had a friend of mine, shout out to Cos, who does PT, and started me off with just a program that I could just follow in my own time, did what as and what I could. And I started with that first, rather than trying to achieve everything in one go. So the first thing I would say is you have to enjoy the workouts that you're doing, because otherwise there is literally no point. You will start coming up with excuses, you'll be tired and whatever. And it's okay to fall off, but there's falling off and then there's tumbling down the hill together, taking everything with you. Like, I think if you have a bad week and you knock things off, that's okay. It's when it then consistently becomes every week's a bad week, and then you're like, fuck, I'm even further back than where I started. So I think it's really hard. I think the whole point is that for me, how I did it was I started off with, okay, I'm going to start having a gym routine first. And that's because that's the one thing I know I'm awful at. So I'm going to go gym 2 or 3 times a week. If I happen to hit 4, brilliant. Like, it's just an added bonus. So I think my first year was really that, just needing to have a gym workout. That was it. Food was a bit up and down. I'd spoken with a nutritionist, got like the fad diet thing, like you said. You start becoming so confused as to what is okay to eat, what is not okay to eat. I think because of so many fad diets, you get so confused as to what is normal everyday eating. I don't even believe in things like cheat days and stuff anymore. Like, that's all out of the window as well. Yeah, I went from, like every person, I think, so many fad diets to the point where food doesn't make sense anymore. And then you get to the thing of like cheat days and stuff, or cheat meals and stuff. Like, I don't really agree with that anymore. I think you can have good days, bad days, like you can have on and off days, as long as you're consistent with everything else that you're doing. And then the thing I started off like a year at the gym, and then I did like almost like a year of food and gym almost. And then I got to a point where I'm at now, where I was like, okay, the only thing I'm struggling with is I don't actually do enough cardio in the day. I don't walk enough, I don't move enough. I have a desk job, sit a lot at a desk all day. Those steps are like non-existent. And that was almost like the final thing that I just kind of needed to tick off. Now, I'm not just saying it's those 3 things and then that's it, it's done. There's a lot more to it than that. But I've realized that, you know, I think the thing is as well is that you put on weight, for example, for this conversation, you put on weight over the years. It's not just an overnight thing. So therefore, the turnaround of that is also going to take that long as well, which we all forget. We all want quick wins, and it doesn't work that way. You know, this is years of like comfort eating and not having a bad relationship with food and eating my problems away and all that. You know, this is years of unlearning that I've had to do, which is like what most people have to do. I'm not saying this is it, and like I've found the key to success and that's it, I'm fine now. Like, I still have times where I fall off and on, but I'm more aware of it, and I'm more aware of like I'm more in touch with my feelings about stuff. And if I'm feeling shit, I don't go raiding the fridge like I used to. Like, the comfort eating was definitely a big thing for me. So it's for anyone out there who's like, I don't know where to begin, I would just say, just start doing something, that you enjoy doing, that gets you moving. And then slowly just put it up. Like, this is a long-term life change. This is not just like I suppose it's like have goals. This is a 5-year plan almost of I'd like to think that maybe another year or 2 now that I'm in a better place. And like it's not easy. It's not cheap. Like, you know, you have to make sacrifices thing, and you have to, like, I would love to go, and I'm like, obviously while I'm losing weight, I'm like, I really want to buy a new wardrobe, shitload of new stuff, and then I'm like, okay, but it's not realistic to buy all that stuff for the moment. No point. I'll end up with like multiple sizes in the cupboard, and also I need to still pay for food and electric and all. So I'm like, and I'm like, okay, but my gym and my food and my health, that's more important at the moment. So that's like the reward for further down the line kind of thing as well. So and it does, again, everything has a knock-on effect. Like, you have a bad day at work, then you take it out on like your partner, for example. It's like the same thing with food. Like, if you have a bad day at work, you might go and eat something to make yourself feel better and things like that. And then like the body image thing as well. Like, I don't know, like if you've been through, like you said, like you've gone times where you've gone skinnier and whatever, your body image and like the feedback that you get about your body and stuff as well there's a pressure almost.
Or when someone says, oh, you've lost weight, I'll be like, I haven't. Just don't say it, because I don't. Well, you might think I have, but I don't feel like I have, because I haven't done anything to make it happen. So
well, it's hard because I read this thing the other day and I was like, oh, how depressing. But it was based on actually the complete opposite. It's not about being overweight or about being bad. It's like, you apparently see yourself 5 times more attractive than how everybody else sees you. And I was like, oh no. Like,
I thought it was the other way around.
So I was like, God, people must think I'm right me then, and there's me thinking I'm like the fittest person around. Oh dear. Oh, what does that mean? make it make sense. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Oh man, that is depressing. Cheers, Lex.
No, it is, isn't it? Because I was like thinking, I know, sorry. Because I was like, well, I feel like I'm all right, you know, like I feel like I'm back my best self at the moment. And I was like, but no one else is probably thinking
No.
that I've like you said, like you don't tell people and you don't like to show it off. I mean, I'm obviously, not unfortunately, I have put myself out there to maybe have those comments, I suppose, given to me, which does actually adds an added pressure. And this was something that I spoke about with the woman Anna that we're going to hopefully get on doing the show. Like she's my fitness coach. She's someone that I had that thing of. I had like a bit of a thing the other week, and I was like, it's so hard because when you're trying to work on yourself, you're like, you have in your head of like where you think you'll be when you hit like a certain date and like what you'll achieve by then. You have to kind of remind yourself that this progress is slow and it's not going to be like a quick thing like the fad diets that we're used to where you lose like 10 stone in a day, you know, like those kind of things. And I said, you know what, the added pressure also is that because I put myself out there for like people to follow, because I want to help other people and inspire people in the same situation I've been in, there is also that pressure of that I put on me. No one's putting it on me, but I want to show up for people all the time. I want to be authentic with it, and I always talk about when I'm struggling, when I'm not struggling and stuff, but it's almost the added pressure of I need to succeed to make sure that I can show that like it pays off. But it's hard, it's really hard. I think being real about the whole situation and showing the struggle is way more a better selling point for people than just pretending like everything's okay. Like I will gladly open up and say when I've had a shit week, like I'm off my goal, I'm not all right at the moment, like blah blah. I may not go into so much detail, I suppose, because I don't want to depress everybody and depress myself in the process, but definitely like to flag when like I didn't get my steps in this week. Yep, I didn't get my workout this week. Like I've fallen off. And it's not off the wagon. It's just like, I mean, it's normal. This is the reality of it. It's normal that when you're going through something and you're trying to do something, there's always ups and downs. There's no smooth sailing, and it's a constant learning of good behaviors, and it's an unlearning of bad behaviors as such. So, and then it's hard as well because so my friends and I were having this conversation the other day. Obviously, I'm a plus size girl. I always say like I'm proud of myself at every step of the journey where I'm working towards, but do I want to be working towards a healthier weight? Yeah, I'm not gonna deny that. I've been big a lot of my life. I do worry about my health and that. Like I love myself now and even before, like, you know, like as me as a person and my body and whatever, like I've learned to love myself, like no matter what state it's currently in. And I don't mean that in a bad way, I mean it's in like where I'm currently at. And there's almost this thing as well where it's like you're wanting to change, and that's okay to change. That there's almost like this thing of like you don't want to be part of the plus size community. You say about body confidence, but you're looking to change your body, and it's like, no, it's not that. It's that I'm worried. I carry a lot of weight. I'm very heavy. Like I might be healthier and fitter, but I'm still really heavy, and I find it easier knowing that losing weight that at the moment can move more. I'm more flexible. I can like get around. I don't feel out of breath. I don't feel tired. Like it does have an effect on all those things, and if you're cool with that, then fine. But that doesn't mean I don't like who I was, and that it's just for me. I've been that person for so long. I need to make a change. There's a lot of difficulty around you're not being true to yourself, and you said you're this and this, but you're not, like you're fake and whatever. And it's a really hard, I think it's a hard place to be in when you're deciding to make changes to yourself. It doesn't mean you don't want to be that person, it's just that you know there's certain things that you need to do in order to live longer and to not feel a certain type of way. I mean, in your own body, I sometimes being bigger, I felt like sometimes I'm trapped in the body I have, like, you know, because I'm not, and it's not because I'm overweight, it's because I'm overweight and I was being unhealthy, like I was sitting all day, not doing anything, eating crap, like, you know, not caring. That all of that does something to your brain and to your body as well. So it's really difficult.
I think one of the reasons why I started spinning for those 2 weeks about 2 months ago.
all those 2 weeks.
all those 2 weeks that I did it was partly because of the page, but also like I think in the lead up to it, I was finding myself in quite a dark place, like just very angry and very shouty and very stressed and very tired. And I was like, no, this can't go on. Like something needs to change. But then why do things need to kind of hit that point for then me to realize, no, actually I need to do something about it? Like, you know, you almost need to go to like one end to go, no, actually you got to come back. When I think thinking back to it, I think that's why I need an outlet. And what the funny thing is was that I noticed the difference, which is the really like frustrating thing, is that I did notice the difference after doing 2 or 3 spin classes, not physically, just mentally. Like, oh my god, I feel so much better for doing it. And as a mom of like 2 kids, and it's very stressful and stuff like that, there was like a week where actually I didn't raise my voice at them at all, and it was like, oh, what is that?
You're like, who's that nice person?
Exactly.
Like,
Your kids were like,
that's
oh,
me. Okay, that's
that?
me. I didn't know.
You're not my mummy.
It's true though. I think if you start putting effort in yourself, I think it's looking like doing stuff like working out and stuff, and or anything, just anything, even like fixing up, going and get your hair done, whatever, like anything that is self-care or self-love, it just and makes you feel better. I think it radiates from you, like it showcases off. I definitely know that talking to yourself horribly really does have a negative effect. And sometimes like I would do the thing where I was like, well, if I say this stuff, no one else can say it to me because I've already said it about myself. So nothing you can say is going to hurt. But it's like, actually, no one was really saying those things. It was me that was saying those things in order to almost like, you know, oh, if I take the piss out of myself, it's funny because I said it. Like I'm aware of it, but you can't say it. But obviously like I said it. So really all I was doing is putting myself down, and it's like, that's not good for yourself. So like if you're then doing things the opposite where you're like, okay, you know what, I'm gonna go for a walk later, or I'm actually gonna cook myself a really nice meal, or I'm going to take a rest day today because I've been working hard really like all week and things like that. What you're putting into yourself is what you give out to others. And it's so true that like you do feel better and everything changes. Like I felt like eating cleaner, like looking after myself and stuff. I noticed a change in like the way I came across, like my confidence, the way I stood, the things that it did to my skin, my hair, like all these things. It just started having like little changes here and there that I felt like a new person. And it's like that's that thing where I'm like, I feel like I've unlocked something there that I'm like, this is not really about the weight thing. This is literally about just being kind to yourself and speaking nice to yourself and not being so hard. And actually it does wonders. It does wonders. But if you're so used to talking to yourself like crap, or you can't say anything nice about yourself, it just has really bad damage. Something has to give in order to be able to realize that. Some people have that clarity, that moment, and some people don't ever experience it. I think it just depends on what goes on in your life. And I'm not saying it's hard, because it's like, for me, it's like I had to go through a lot of shit in order to be able to then realize that. But it's like I wouldn't say that's the answer of that's the best thing.
You got to hit rock bottom before you know,
like, do you know what I mean? And it's hard because then like, where's the line? What's rock bottom for people? It's like some people will say, oh, I don't care until something happens, and then they're like, oh fuck, you know, like something happens to their health or something, and then it scares them into it. Like for me, the changes were COVID hit. I'm someone who's very sociable and was doing everything and anything. I was doing too much and I didn't kind of clock it at the time. And then like, COVID hit, and I went from being this person who was working loads, seeing your family all the time, going out and doing loads of different things, to nothing, like all of us obviously, but like went to nothing. And I was quite alone in my thoughts. And I think that was like, it brought up a lot of fears and things that I'm scared of, or being with that family, fear of dying. There was loads of mentions, as you'll probably know, on like the press and that about, and in the NHS about obesity. When you've got COVID, you're going to die, basically. You know, like I was terrified. I was so scared, and I kept thinking, oh my God, I'm going to die. And because I'm overweight, like I'm not going to be able to breathe, blah blah. Like I had that play in my head all the time, and that's what kind of. And then obviously, you know, touch wood, you know, got through. Well, you know, not everybody obviously, but we got through what we got through. It got to a point where I was like, that's what kind of kick-started it, because I was like, I had that alone time to really think about things, think about myself. And I was like, I don't want to be always scared, because my health is what's kind of stopping me from being able to do things and that. And I need to give myself a chance. Like I've already done so many years worth of long-term damage. I don't want to carry that on into my older years. And when you're younger as well, you think you're invincible. You think these things aren't going to happen to me, but they probably can. Like, so
what do you think it is though? Why do you think, what are people scared of? Like that's the question. Why can't, if someone's like in a bad place, right, and you're like, actually there's a light over there where you can be fit and you can be healthy and you can have a healthy mind, and overall the outlook that you have in life is going to be so much better. Why are people so scared of that? That's my question. What's stopping people from getting to that point? What's the fear?
What's stopping them? Nothing apart from them. You are stopping you. There's nothing else. There is literally nothing else. What is the thing that people are scared of? I think it's multiple things. I think they're scared of challenging themselves. I think they're scared of the unknown. They're scared of the change. They're scared of like the fear of failure. And I think it's scared of actually admitting to yourself, I've not been good to me. I've not taken care of me the way I should have. I had to admit to myself that like I was always feeling sorry for myself. And this is not about the weight stuff, just the mental mindset of it. I was aware of that. Everyone's gone through things in their life lives, right, that like stay with them, and you can either keep them with you for the rest of your life, or you can work on them and say, okay, yes, that did XYZ to me, but I don't want to take that further down the line with me and make it the reason or the excuse as to why I'm not making changes. A lot of my stuff was, I felt sorry for myself for things with like my mum and dad divorcing when I was younger, not having the greatest relationship with my dad. Felt like I struggled when I got older. It was always that why me kind of thing, with just a lot of things. It was just, some of it was, I think some of it was also, I was trying to care for me, but in the wrong way. It was like I would talk myself out of things of, I didn't want to push myself, like, it's okay if that went wrong, don't worry about it. And it's like, but to the point where it was almost like I was not laid back and chilled. I was lying down and not giving a fuck. There was a difference. And I think that's okay for certain things, but when you're doing it with every aspect of your life, then it really does mean that like you're actually causing yourself, I think, more damage. You're like being hard on yourself for like the wrong things. I'd either be hard on myself or I would be like, oh, poor me. And the problem is as well is that when you have a certain mentality, like I definitely struggled growing up with like depression and things like that. I definitely had like things like that. I was always like a happy-go-lucky person, as in like a socially whatever, but you leave me on my own to deal with my own thoughts, and it's not the best.
It's a scary place, isn't it? Yeah,
scary place. You're like, who the fuck is this person? Like, it's, like, what the hell? It becomes a comfort blanket, right? It becomes a thing, or you're so used to that feeling that it feels weird to not feel that way. Like, I used to sometimes be like, do you know, it's been a while since I've been upset about stuff. Maybe I'll just, let me put myself in a sad mood and like, let me just like, worries me, let me just feel sorry for myself.
Why are people scared to be happy?
I think some people feel like they don't deserve it. They don't deserve to be happy. I think like if you are being hard on yourself about stuff, it's like I've had like family and friends that will tell me, for example, and I'm no problem solver, right, but will tell me this and this and this and this, and you can come up with solutions for them, but they're like, all they still see is the problem. And it's that thing of like, it's almost like they're scared to take that step forward and then, actually, let me just see what being happy could be like. Or they are people who like misery is comfort for them, where they like saying, what, I've got this and this and this wrong. I have so many things, and this is the reason why. And it's like, and there's nothing wrong with having those days. It happens, absolutely. And I'm not saying that like everyone's got an easy life and they should just be positive. Like, this shit that goes on in people's lives, there's not always a solution. Again, it's like, we've only got one life, and if you're taking that with you at everything, and it's going to affect everything about you and how you treat people and what you do with your life and all that. And I feel like I can only say these things strongly because I've been that person. I'm trying to say, like, I'm not someone that's like, oh, my life was easy and therefore your life should be, you should be happy with your life. I had those thoughts, I had that mindset, like I thought those things, and it's like, looking back, it's like I feel now that I'm like, not wasted years, but it's like a lot of time spent doing that, when actually I could have been doing that. If I'd really pushed myself, I probably could have achieved this and this. I probably wouldn't have been like in self-destruct mode. But the thing with that is, I went through like counseling, I had like life coaching, like I had to speak to people, I had a good circle of like family around me to support me, like I was lucky in those things, like, not everyone's got that access to, those things also. Even those who have everything still have, look at like celebrities, for example, right? Like,
exactly.
You would say, you'd be like, what's wrong with them? They've got everything they want on a plate. Like, they've got all that money. It doesn't matter. If you've got shit going on in your head, you've got shit going on in your head. It's like,
no amount of money is going to fix that.
Legit. Even like, this might be a bit of a controversial one. I've had conversations with people, obviously, because again, being overweight, you have conversations and things about like gastric bypass and things like that. And I'm all for things that are solutions to help however way. Like, it's not my choice. It's not something I personally would want to do. But like, if that is the only way that they see fit to do something, then that's absolutely up to them. The only issue I have around that, which is definitely something I always mention, is that at the end of the day, you have to still change your mindset about how you eat, how you feel, how you think, even with something like that. Because yes, your body has been amended to be able to take food in differently, etc. But if your mindset is still in that old mindset, nothing's changed. No. If, for example, I had gone and had that done, I still had comfort eating problems, I would still probably put that weight back on again. I would still be testing. And I know that, and I've had friends that have been in that situation who have done it and said, I would test to see what I could eat. I would maybe push myself a bit further to do that. I've got family, like my dad, for example, had like obesity runs in my family as well. Like, everyone struggles with food in my family, but my dad, for example, had that surgery where you would cut down your stomach to obviously not eat as much. And he did lose a ton of no, it wasn't a band. Like in Cyprus, they had this thing where you would literally shrink the stomach, where essentially like cut the stomach away to have a smaller stomach, therefore you feel full quicker, etc. However, My dad is a habitual comfort eater. It's where I get it from.
Yeah.
And his thing was he comfort eats. So therefore the weight just went back on again because the eating patterns, they were still there. So eventually he put it on and more so. So it's like, that's why I get things like these solutions are great if you're willing to make changes and you're happy doing those things. And it's just, I always get scared with these things as well because they're still quite new. Like, you've not really seen someone have something like that for long term and see what effects does it have on the body going forwards and things like that. Like, so I'm always a bit like, yes, great, but what happens if this happens as well? Like,
yeah, exactly.
Like you were saying, what is the problem? I think people are just scared. I think people are scared to take risks. They like being quite set in their ways. There's the worry of, I mean, I have that worry, like, because I suppose I'm not the same Alexia that I was like a couple, like, obviously we grow up, whatever, but my mindset's very different to that Alexia. And then, like, you sometimes think, like, does that now make me, do I come across more too confident? Does it come across arrogant? Does it come across like whatever? And it's like, you have that worry, but those who love and care for you know that what you're doing is best for you, and they see, hopefully they'll see that I'm happier and more content, feel and look better. And I don't mean as in like because I've lost weight, I just mean as in I feel like I stand up taller and I make more effort with myself and things like that. I turn up for myself, I think, is the way of putting it. And those people who've seen you in your darkest times and see you in your good times should hopefully see that it's not an arrogance thing. It's not like a cockiness, a short cocksure, or I might say I'm looking great and whatever, but I mean it's talking nice to it's me talking nice to me, saying I show up for myself. So it can be really hard. What, like, for you, like you said, obviously, like, you started doing spin, it fell out, etc. What do you think was like the downfall, and like what do you think, if you were to make changes again now, if you did want to, like, what would you do differently this time around?
Making excuses almost constantly. It's like what you're saying. It's the way I talk to myself. It's just making those excuses. And another point you made was kind of trying to do everything at the same time, trying to eat healthy, trying to go to the gym, trying to do it all at once, and then actually feeling like I can't do it. I'm failing at it, or and it's exhausting and it's draining. And then that's kind of the whole, oh no, I can't, something's gonna have to give. I'm just gonna have to give up spin because there's too much else on. I need to, work and family and all of this sort of stuff. And you're like, it is me talking to myself, like, in that way, going, it's too hard, and if I was to go back and do it differently, I'll take it. I think you've made some really good points, and it's do it in bite-sized chunks. Like, you can't do it all. It's too much to take on, like, not even just like a fitness thing. Like, think about work and other things. Like, you will always do things in kind of little bits. You can never really tackle kind of a big, on your own as well. And you are on your own, really. Like, it's your own personal journey. There are people there who might be kind of egging on. At the end of the day, it is you and the battle with kind of how you see yourself and how you're talking to yourself. So I think that was my downfall, just kind of that attitude. And I think mindset, I think kind of taking things in smaller chunks. And I think something else we mentioned was like just gratitude as well, like being kind of grateful for the fact that, oh, you've got access to all these things and have access to spin classes, and I can do that, and I can, and I am aware of what is going on, and being grateful for the fact that I can change it, and and just doing that as well, and doing more of that, I think, is key.
And you've got access to so much more than that. I mean, like, for example, it was so funny because when it was like the pandemic, everyone was trying to compare it to like the war, right? And they were like, oh, it's just as bad as the war days. And I was like, do you know how fucking spoiled we were, like, in the pandemic? Like, we were safe at home, right? Like, obviously we were scared. I'm saying was like, we had online shopping, we were safe at home, like, we had entertainment, we had TV, we had mobiles, we had computers, and I was like, do you know how fucking ungrateful we are that we are sitting there comparing it to war, who people were scared to open their curtains for the fear of the light shining, right? Like, it's insane, and obviously being clocked. And I just think like we have access to so much, like, we have access to outside, and we can go out and walk, right? That's a workout in itself. We have access to the internet where we can do a workout at home if we don't feel comfortable going to the gym. Also, by the way, those who are scared of going to the gym, I know it's terrifying, but I know, and I mean this in the nicest way possible, no one gives a fuck about you when you're in there, right? Let me just say, you are not that special that people are watching you in that respect. And if they are, pay them no money. You'll never probably see half these people ever again.
Yeah.
You have to almost have this thing of like, go in there, get on with it, and get out again. Like it's so
thing.
we spend too much time worrying about other people's business and like other people's opinions. Like what people say about you is none of your fucking business. I really do live by that. You do have access to all these things. And another thing as well, which you said family, and I think this is a point that I think a lot of parents feel, is that if they start really looking after themselves, as in they take time out for themselves and do this, it comes across almost like you don't care about your family, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's such bullshit. And listen, don't get me wrong, looking after yourself, like say for example the stuff I'm doing, yeah, it's incredibly selfish. You have to be selfish with your time, how you're doing things. Like for example, if meeting up with someone, like cool, but I'm gonna go gym first, or cool, but I'm not gonna eat blah blah, I'll probably just eat beforehand. Like you do have to, and I'm not saying it's all the time like that. I mean, I'm doing it more so because if I do like photo shoot prep, I have to be like that. It's selfish in that respect. Yeah, there's certain things with, if you're really wanting to make sure, you have to be incredibly selfish in order to be able to achieve certain things. Doesn't mean you're an arsehole, it just means your priorities have changed. And then obviously I don't have children, so it's easy for me to say that. Even with Ricky, thankfully he's on a health kick here and there, but obviously we kind of eat different sometimes, depending, like, oh, we'll measure certain things out, he doesn't eat veg, I do, etc. And sometimes I have to be selfish, as in, well, I'm having this, you can have this. Like it's compromise. But I think for parents it's a thing of, I don't have time because I have children, I've got to, look after them, I've got bedtime, I've got to work, etc., got to take them to school, etc. And if I do anything else, it's deemed as selfish, and it's so not. You need to be the best version of you for them, and it's good for them to see. It's good for them to see if you're doing stuff like that. Like I grew up probably the same as you, Lynette. I grew up with family who are like, "What's a gym? Like who goes to gym? Like what is that? Never heard of it. Like who is he? Gym? Like who's gym? Like do who? Like my family didn't know about going out to do workouts. Don't get me wrong, like my grandparents were very active as people. They went out dancing, like they had a Mediterranean diet, they ate quite well, right? My granddad smoked and whatever, but their lifestyle was quite healthy. Obviously for our age group, it was sit in front of the TV all day, eat processed shit, go McDonald's was a treat, like all those things, like and if your family's revolved around food, like there was none of that, let's go out for a walk because it's good for us, we go cycling, like none of that stuff. Like I don't even have to ride a bike and I'm nearly 40 years old. Like those things just did never happen in our family. Again, I'm not saying go crazy with gym stuff and whatever, I'm just saying whatever you do for like to make you feel a certain type of way, it's good to show that in front of your children, I think, as well. Get them into, like, it's a good bonding experience, and it's good to show your children, like, we can have an active lifestyle. It's not always a case of being in front of a phone or a TV or a tablet all the time. Like the younger generation, like, I mean, I've got a niece and she's 6. The treat for them is to be on a phone all the time, or like to be watching TV and stuff. And I know we did that as kids. Obviously it's like they almost are so unaware of that life outside of that a little bit. So it's good to, I think as parents, it's good to involve them where you can, have that you time as well, because you deserve it.
Agree, because I've got a friend who she started this thing where she would just take herself off to a hotel on her own. She's got 2 kids. Her point is, if I'm not happy, how on earth can I make my kids happy? Like I need that time to like de-stress. So so just turn that into like an annual thing. And you absolutely 100% need that. You just need that headspace as well to be able to just kind of be on your own, just being able to reset, I think, in that respect. And the advice I give to a lot of new mums, have a shower. Like before you do anything in the day, before you pick up that baby, before you do anything, have a shower. And that was what I did. And I think, a lot of people find yourself stuck in this rut and you've not even showered and had breakfast. Have a fucking shower before you do anything. It makes the world of difference. That's looking after yourself. I remember having my first shower after like 4 days. 4 days I was stuck in hospital after I had my daughter, and honest to God, it was like a spa. And it was that was my light bulb, like, this is what I'm going to do every day, and I'll be fine.
It's a form of self-care. Things like that are they sound so minimal, but like it does wonders. Like you're like, even like if you're not feeling something, you're like, you're feeling ill, so I'm just gonna have a shower. Like I'll make myself feel better. Like I'll have a little shower.
I'll sit in the bath with some bubbles. And
so like some candles, like be lush, like sitting in your dingy old bathroom with like damp everywhere.
Spa music, Spotify.
No, it's so true. I think there's so many ways of just being able to, and it's hard. Like I said, I don't have children, and I know there's some parents that don't have. It's not that easy, and they don't have their children might require more attention than other children will. For example, you might be a single parent. It's easier said than done just to go out and do whatever when you've a family to look after. But I think even I've seen online where people will be like, don't have anyone to help support and whatever. And as soon as the child's at school, they have that time when they just try and focus on themselves, or even if it's like an hour, half hour, like even just something. There's a way of just giving yourself a break, or like just being kind to yourself in one way or another. I think it really does help. And I think a lot of that is with the whole, obviously we was talking about being unmotivated. I think starting off small, I think you get to the point where you're like, okay, now what can I do next? Like, I think that's a really important thing I think it's important to sometimes check in with yourself and be like, how am I feeling, or why am I feeling this particular way? What's triggered that? Like you said, like, why have I stopped going spinning class all of a sudden? Like, why, I was enjoying it, why did I stop doing that? Sometimes it's just maybe not the right time. And also I think it's important to not beat yourself up when you are having, and I do it, like you have times where you're like, oh, you know what, nothing's going right, and it's like, that's it, like fuck it, everything's just that ruined. And it's like, that's gonna happen. You are gonna get times like you get fatigued doing the same thing over and over again as well. Like, it happens. I had a chat with Anna last week, and I was like, I've got fatigue. I'm like, I'm really tired. I'm working quite a few lates at the moment, and like gym seems really exhausting. I want to have a bit more, and I'm going to bed too late. I don't get to like sleep in a little bit, and like all these things. And I was like, it was just like one thing after another that I could see it failing. I mean, I was able to recognize it, which is definitely a change than what I would have done with it before. But it got to the point where I was like, okay, well, what can you achieve this week? Like, she's gonna help me change my perspective of it. It's like, rather than what we can't do, what can we probably achieve this week? And it's actually, sometimes it's good to talk about things with people, because I think when we internalize things, we make it such a bigger thing in our heads than what it possibly is. And then when you talk about it with someone else, they're like, okay, but you can change this, and like, and that was literally, I had a light bulb moment of like, okay, I'm not going to be able to probably fit in a gym, like all my 3 workouts a week. Probably not going to be able to get all my steps like done. However, my food is probably right. I probably could fit in like 1 gym session. I could probably get like maybe 1 day. And it was like, that's better than just not doing any of that stuff at all. And I think that's where we fail a bit as well. That thing of like, why does things go wrong? I think it's things like that of it's either we have that all or nothing mentality. And I think that's, it causes more damage. And we put a lot of pressure on ourselves. Again, with social media, we think we should be acting, thinking and doing a particular thing because we see others do it. And we're sheep naturally, we are followers naturally, we are herds and we're tribes. We follow what we see is out there, and we try and we want to fit in. Let's not forget, social media is not real. Like, a lot of that stuff is amplified. So it's amplified more so because it's social media. You have to just remind yourself of that. It's like, okay, cool, but reality is probably didn't really know half of that stuff. Probably, it's probably just for show.
Exactly.
So what learnings do you think we've taken away from today that we think we can kind of share to those that are listening? We've felt like we mainly stuck around fitness and I suppose and stuff.
I think the first thing, the mindset, and I think that's only something that where it's only probably clocked to me. I can't talk tonight. It's too early for this. It's too early.
I mean, it is nearly 7 o'clock tonight. This is early for us.
What am I trying to say? It's like the whole mindset thing is something I've only just realised, I think, in the last 6 months. Yeah, in my mind, like, nothing will kind of change, or you won't see the differences or changes that you want to make in your life until you change that mindset, and until you rewire the way that you think. And I think that's one of the key things. I think kind of what gets us kind of demotivated and things like that is to remember it is all in the mind. Like, why do we get demotivated? Because it's the way we talk to ourselves, it's the way we see ourselves, it's making excuses and all of this sort of stuff. Like, actually just flip it around, like you just said, like the point you just made there, like I couldn't go to the gym, couldn't do this, but actually I could probably go to the gym once, and I am eating right, and I am moving, and I'm not stopping. So actually I am still making progress. And I think that's one of the key. The other thing is around kind of doing it in those bite-sized chunks, taking it a tiny step at a time. Like, don't try and move fucking mountains. Like, it's impossible. Of course you're not going to be able to go, wake up, right, diet starts Monday, join a gym Tuesday, right, that's it, workout, eat right. It's not going to happen. Like, take it a bit at a time. Like, there's only so much, unless your life is 100% dedicated to, right, the gym, and I'm going to go to the gym 5 days a week, I'm going to eat right, and then you have the means by which to live that lifestyle, and that's the way you want to live, then fine. but actually there are other elements of your life which need your time too. And so it's you know, making time for each of those things. When if you kind of make that decision to go, right, I'm gonna go all in, I'm gonna go on a diet, I'm gonna do all this, that is too much. It's because you've got work, you've got, you know, everything else, social life, friends, family, all of that sort of stuff. So yeah. So that's the other kind of key thing for me as well.
I would agree with that. I think it's amazing what I didn't realize, that actually moving around, like, and doing stuff like, say, I know we talk about gym a lot just because it's the one I'm using, but for me, gym made me feel so much better about stuff. Like, I felt so much better mentally every time I went, that it's now become to the point where it's not even about the physical side of things anymore. And it's quite nice how over time, like, my image perception of that has sort of like changed a little bit, that I'm not working towards, yes, anything else like on top of like image and stuff is a bonus, is like, you know, like my body and like healthier and whatever, but my mind feels so much better when I do go and work out. It's actually helped me through times where I've been going through something or trying to get over something. Like, even when my grandma passed away, when my granddad passed away, I didn't deal with it well. Literally, I shit you not, like, I think all my family went on like a massive comfort eat for like God knows how long. We just ate our problems away with it. We just didn't have the tools to deal with the situation. Came as a shock, wasn't expecting it, and I think we just didn't deal with it well, and it definitely took years before it kind of got back to being better again. With my grandma, I felt like after a couple of days after she passed, I was like, I need to go. I need to go and work out. Like, I had that need to go and do it, because I needed to take that energy that I had and put it somewhere else and release it in a healthy way. And I felt so much better for that. So for me now, with the mindset thing, like, my mindset is more around, I know if I go, I'll feel better mentally. I'll deal with stuff better. I know the gym doesn't fix every single problem. I'm not going to pretend that it does. It doesn't. There's some things that workout just cannot fix. But does it give me that me time and alone time, and like be able to just, you know, think things out? And like, I'll think about something that I'm angry about, and I'll just kind of take it out on the machine. Like, makes me feel so much better. And then the final thing I think I've learned through all of this, again around mindset, I suppose, is I stopped working towards body that I wanted and thought I should have, and I started working with what I do have, and like used that to the best of its ability. I talk a lot about, I wanted to be, yes, I want to maintain my curves. I'm not going to lie, I like being a curvy girl. I want to be strong. Stop seeing it as in, I want to be this size. I want to be a size 6. I want to be a size 8. I want to be a size 10. Like, all that stuff. I want to be this weight. It was like, nah, I want to be strong. I don't mind if I'm being big, then I want it to be strong big, not like just all that, you know, not just like unhealthy big. Like, I was like, I want to be strong and curvy. I wanted to, I'm naturally kind of I'm big bone. I'm a big girl anyways. Like, I've got I've not got a small frame, let's put it like that. Like, I'm aware that I carry weight. And so like, if that's the case, and I'll use it to the best of my ability, and I'll work with what I do have instead. And that takes less pressure off like what I think I'm striving to be. I'll be the best, healthiest version of myself. Even if that means I'm still a big girl, but I've got like a shitload of muscles, I'm cool with that. Like, I'm happy with that. Like, I'd rather have that strength instead of like, you know, working towards something that's not realistic or sustainable. Like, I think a lot of the time when we go onto these diets and stuff, that we're working towards a body that isn't actually ours, and then it's so hard to maintain. You end up being more unhappy as well, because you're cutting yourself so much so that you're like, okay, now nothing cheers me up anymore. And then you start guilt tripping yourself with food and things like that. Then you're in a funk, and then you go complete opposite, and then you like I did. Oh my god, me and my friend, we did years ago Dukan diet, and Dukan was basically no carbs whatsoever. God. Now, don't get me wrong, I lost like 4.5 stone in the space of about 6 months. Now, if this was like just to kickstart me off, then maybe that wouldn't have been like a terrible thing. I'm not saying I agree with it. It's not a good thing to do. You need carbs, you need protein, you need like veg stuff. But I lost a ton load of weight in one go. I was no exercise whatsoever, and I was actually more miserable because one, I was cutting out shit I wanted to eat. I was eating this weird fucking diet, and not only that, like, no exercise resulted in me sagging even more so. So I was actually smaller, but I didn't actually feel happy, because I felt like everything had just like dropped, like everything had drooped, like everything sagged, and I was actually really unhappy with that. And then obviously I eventually over time I stopped doing it, and then slowly, and then before I knew it, I was more put all the weight back on, and even more so. So
Yeah.
not about the quick win. It's a really slow progress. It's not a race, it's a marathon. If this is something you're looking to make changes about yourself, they are long term. That's not it. There's no like, well, I'll just do this for a bit and then I'll go back to normal. It just doesn't work that way. But it doesn't mean that you have to restrict yourself either. You can still, I hate saying normal diet because there's no such thing as a normal diet, but like you should be able to enjoy everything and anything, but also within, like, it's all about just not going from one extreme to another. Do you know what I mean? So my take on it, like what I'm trying to say, my final thoughts, do it slowly, do it bite-sized, work to a realistic goal, and do things that make you happy. Don't push yourself and put yourself in situations of things that you, like for me, spin class for me sounds like that. Like, it looks fun, but I can't think of anything worse for me. Like, I wouldn't enjoy it. So it's not my thing, but I get why it's so enjoyable for other people. So so on that note, I guess we've covered being I keep saying demotivated. I'm demotivated. I'm demotivated. We are going to at some point bring on Anna. Anna is a fitness coach, and she deals with not just with fitness but also about confidence and about careers, and mainly for like women as well, especially. But like, we're going to bring her on and we'll talk about her experience and stuff too. And I think it's going to be a really fun one for you guys to listen to also. But yeah, let us know what you thought about today's show. Let us know your thoughts and feelings. Did anything resonate with you, or did you think we were chatting with pile of poo? Let us know.
Can you let us know if it's unmotivated or demotivated?
Let us know. Thanks. Bye.
Mood. We're relatable as fuck.